I do agree with what she's saying. I think if you have a mother that's really controlling, and especially if they're taking out like maybe like the failures of their own relationship with like your father or another man, then that can have an impact on you because they begin to treat you like that man that they wish they had, I guess.
I think that's 100% valid. And it, like, for me, my dad was the one that always did the disciplinary action. So like I don't think I ever got whooped by my mom, but even when like she may have tried back in the day, it never was like the same. What's poppin', everybody?
Welcome back to the Cold Popcast.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm Steve.
And today we're going to be watching some commentary a woman has on whether controlling moms can be damaging to their son's development.
Yeah, personally, since I grew up with a bit of a controlling mom, I would say that having one is definitely something that will damage you psychologically, mentally, spiritually. Like, it just causes a lot of issues to begin with. But let's see what she thinks and kind of understand her take more before we start the discussion.
Yeah.
Because you'll have really capable men, but they are handicapped because of their mom. Mm-hmm. And it's almost, they call it emotional incest. And I really think it's true because
100%.
We had this one lady, she would always, by mistake, call her son my man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's your son.
That's your
son. And there's a lot of women who do it. And I think it's because they couldn't make it work in their relationship with their actual man, so they take it out on their son. They make it his responsibility. I'm like, that's not his responsibility. He's supposed to be your son. You're supposed to protect him. He's not supposed to sit here. It's not a two-way street. You're his mother, right? You're supposed to grow him up and show him what a woman is supposed to be like and what a good wife is supposed to be like. That's what you're emblematic of, because you'll have.
Yeah. So basically what I would say in response to that is, like, I do agree with what she's saying. I think if you have a mother that's really controlling, and especially if they're taking out like maybe like the failures of their own relationship with like your father or another man, then that can have an impact on you because they begin to treat you like that man that they wish they had, I guess.
Yeah, there's like because I think what she said is true as well, and I think there's like an extreme of what she's saying that you see a lot of times with or that you'll like see with like single moms and how they like inadvertently like raise their sons if they have them to kind of be like almost like surrogate husbands. Mm-hmm. They'll kind of like inadvertently like raise them to kind of be like, you're always gonna watch out for mom. And I think that sons grow up with like this expectation that I have to take care of my mom rather than like, seeing her as like a mom, but like someone I have to grow up to repay her, in a sense, which I don't necessarily think that's always positive. I don't think you should necessarily like feel like you have to, like, you should want to help your parents, I think, of course, but to feel like you owe them is like a different feeling. That's something that like I think is reserved for someone that like you would have as like an actual partner, like your husband, your wife.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a less extreme version of what she's saying that I think a lot of people who might have mothers like would have like some level of experience with, where it's like I think women tend to be naturally more risk averse and have a little bit more paranoia when it comes to raising kids in general. So like if you have a lot of female influence in your life, it could indirectly like, push your kid to be, potentially like maybe even a little more soft because you don't want him to participate in certain things, or like you'll like kind of move him away from things that could like make him a little bit tougher because you're like afraid like, oh, he might get hurt or someone's after you. And personally, like, I've had, my mom, she's like definitely the type of person I can say had a lot of paranoias in terms of like how she would, try to acclimate me to reality. Like it took a while for her to, be able to like not be afraid of me going on the internet and just like having a social media.
Yeah, for me it was like football. Like I really wanted to play football, but my mom was like, "Oh no, you're gonna get hurt. You can't do that. You gotta do all these other things." Eventually, I got to play, but it was because my dad was like, "Well, I played football. Why can't he play football?" But when it comes to like the moms being like paranoid, I guess, and controlling, really, it's like, would you rather your kid get in a couple fights when he's a kid so he knows what a fight feels like, or would you rather them go 20 years without ever getting in a fight and then they get their ass beat right when they're like 25?
Would you rather them get beat up by another 7-year-old or a grown ass man?
Yeah.
So it's first fight.
Of course, like my mom was like a helicopter parent. Like she was always just buzzing around. She never would let me do anything. She just kind of kept me inside, made sure that I was like under control. Under her control, she wanted me to like not really take any risks, I guess.
Yeah.
But one of the main things that I think definitely damages young men is when your mom is the what would it be like
the dominant figure or the dominant
the one that does the punishments, like when your mom is the one
like the
whooping your ass.
disciplinary.
Yeah, the disciplinarian.
Mm-hmm.
When your mom is the one, I personally experienced this, man. Like I think that being whooped by a woman is extremely emasculating. It makes you feel like a bitch. Like having your mom whoop your ass, and it's just like you're just like getting beat by her or crying. You're like, and my mom was the type to be like, "Stop crying," and she'll keep beating me. It's like I'm like, what the fuck?
You talking about as a kid?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Like just thinking back on as a kid, like that's how you felt as a kid.
As a kid, yeah, I do actually think I felt like that. I felt like
I'm trying to figure out.
I literally felt like I wish my dad would just beat me up. Because like having my mom whoop my ass, it just made me feel like I'm like a weak little
beat
bitch.
Up by a girl or something.
Yeah.
You know what's actually funny? Because I think that's 100% valid. And it, like for me, my dad was the one that always did the disciplinary action. So like I don't think I ever got whooped by my mom, but even when like she may have tried back in the day, it never was like the same. Like my dad, like actually whooping me or like, you know, being a disciplinary just was different because it's like, to be honest, there was like a different level of like acknowledgement or respect of like what was happening because I knew my dad was just like tougher. He was like, you know, it's like my mom's whoopings didn't even hurt like half the time, you know, but like my dad, it was like, there was like more fear. I think, and it's not like a thing where it's like, a bad thing, but I think fear is a component of respect, and I think that's why it works for men. Yeah, because it's like a different level of like, you know, like you fear. I think on average, like a guy probably would fear his dad's wrath more than he would fear the mom's, because at some point the mom isn't really able to like, I guess, enforce the same way, because there's like gonna be an age like there's gonna be like an age when you're like 12 or 13 where it's like your mom really can't like hurt you.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, if anything, a lot of what you do is out of like a respect for your mother, but it's not genuinely like, you know, she's like, you know, laying down the law the same way, you know?
Yeah, like at that, I remember hitting that age. Like that age where my mom couldn't hurt me anymore.
You can't hurt me anymore.
Like I remember being like 14 or 15, and she just came in and started slapping me, and I just looked at her.
Yeah,
stop it.
Yeah,
cut it out.
I think there was like one point. My brother, like he told the story recently too. It's like he was about to get whooped by my mom, and it's like she went to like do it, and then he just grabbed the belt. But it was like a funny thing because he like grabbed it out of reflex, and then like let it go, like oh, you know, like oh shit.
Yeah, I better let this happen.
Yeah, then you know they let it happen, but it was just like in that moment they both knew like okay, he's now too old for this, and it wasn't even like, I mean, it was like when you hit like 12, it's like, you know, you outgrow like your mom's wrath very, like as a guy, very quickly. But yeah, just to I guess go back to, I guess, you know, the damage that comes from the you know, mom being the dominating force. I think what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, one of the things I was gonna say on it was that I forgot.
Well, I got something to say. If your mom's the dominating force, I think about it like this, right? Like I think of the man as like the provider, the protector, and the disciplinarian. If I look at the woman, I look at them more like the caretaker, the nurturer, the person that's supposed to build you up when you're down, you know, hold your hand, hug you. Because like if your dad does those things, it's cool, but sometimes it's a little bit too weird. Like, and a lot of men aren't going to do it. But you know, you always have a woman who's going to be more sentimental and more soft. But my thing is, once you have the woman taking on roles that the man should have, then it starts to sort of interfere with, like, you can't be both, basically.
Yeah.
You can't be the disciplinarian and the nurturer. And that's why, like, a single mom is in, like, a really hard situation, because technically they can try. They can try to be both, but you're going to never get the full return of... You're not going to get the you can't be fully the nurturer and fully the disciplinarian. Yeah. You can be like half of each, basically.
I just remember what I was going to say too. That was a good point. Another reason I kind of have a problem a lot of times with women being the disciplinaries is the fact that I feel like women have a hard time. And I'm not just saying this off of like, you know, assumption. I've seen it in my mom. I've seen it in like, you know, videos and stuff, how moms discipline their kids. But like they have a really hard time, I think, separating their emotions from the discipline. Because it's like if your dad whoops you, a lot of times it's like they're disciplining you, but it's not like out of wrath. It's out of like, you know, I'm trying to straighten you out. And it's like they can kind of like, they can separate how they feel about why they're doing it versus like, you know, the action taking place. I've seen videos where it's like a mom like literally fighting her own daughter like with fist, or like they'll yell at their son, or they'll like punish their kid and then like film it so that they can kind of like almost embarrass or emasculate the kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think in a lot of it seems like it's fueled by like this ego or like the emotion where the mom is like, I'm doing this as discipline, but I also am kind of like really mad at the kid and I want to hurt them.
Right.
Like there's like that emotion of like, they're not like, they're like, they'll whoop you, and it's like, there's like an actual intent to hurt you because it's like they're so mad, they're like blinded by the fury.
It like goes beyond discipline.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the problem. I think women, because they have such a hard time like splicing like out their emotion from the action, it can get like really abusive a lot more times than it would be helpful.
Yeah, I think when the goal becomes not changing a behavior, it becomes just hurting the child, then that's abuse, pretty much. Like, if your goal is to cause them emotional or physical or whatever, just cause them pain, not to correct anything, but just to cause them pain, then that's just abusive. And it's usually the, I don't know, I think that it's more, I mean, obviously, you can get that from a dad, but I think, like, moms are going to be harder. It's going to be harder for them, especially if they had, like, that, kind of like my mom, like the helicopter parent thing. They're like, well, I'm putting all of my life into you. Like, I'm controlling you in everything you do. So that's like a lot of energy on their half, like on their behalf. A lot of energy, a lot of effort. And basically, if you go against what they say, then it's like, well, you must not care about all this stuff that I did for you. Like, my mom would always pull that card.
Yeah,
like,
you don't love me then,
yeah,
right?
you must not love me.
Yeah,
and it's
I
like,
didn't do enough.
yeah, and then they get angry because they feel like they lost their investment almost.
That's actually hilarious,
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Yeah. Let's go around a little bit because we've been monopolizing most of our.
Yeah, we pretty much
explanation.
been the whole conversation. What do you guys think, man? Controlling moms?
Yeah, any takes you had in mind?
I agree with you. So, you said they use their emotions sometimes. When I seen
They will
videos
lose
too.
their cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'd rather get whooped by my daddy.
Yeah.
So growing up, did you get whooped by your dad or your mom? Who was the main?
Both.
Both? Okay. Yeah.
But you felt that difference of like, it's like.
Yeah, my whoopings ain't hurt, but motherfuckers was gonna get 2 whoopings regardless.
See, I didn't have that experience. I didn't get the double whooping. My dad would just come home and like give me a stern look. With my mom, he knew my mom beat the shit out of me already. So.
Yeah, my mom would always just like either tell my dad or my dad would like, but he'd always usually be the one.
Yeah. Roosevelt, you got anything?
Nah, not really, man. I haven't really got whooped by my moms that often.
Oh,
I can
really?
remember. It's usually my pops.
Use your dad, okay.
Yeah.
Did you
See,
cry?
me,
Sometimes.
Bitch.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
well, for me, right, my mom, single mom, 3 kids, 3 boys too. So it's like she had to do it. She had to do the job. But obviously as a kid, it's going to hurt up until like 12 or 10 or whatever. So, but me, like I was still put in my place shit. Cause when you're like being denied stuff like, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that, it's a decent punishment. But also when you're getting whipped on top of it, at least for me, like it was good enough. Even though, she wasn't hitting the hardest or doing all that. Like I knew like, okay, my mom was mad. I shouldn't have did that, yada, yada, yada. But yeah.
It's funny, y'all say y'all whoopings like kind of stopped hurting at 12, but it's funny, like as soon as I hit 12, my mom just took out a better weapon.
Yeah.
She just got a more effective weapon. She started using extension cords. Yeah.
That's how my mom got whooped by her mom.
Yeah, she started using extension cords. That shit, it would leave like bloody welts on me and shit.
Jesus Christ.
That's bad.
I thought you were gonna say something crazy, like she would use like the hard side of the belt. She would just start using the buckle.
One time my auntie smacked me across the face with a belt buckle.
Jesus
But my
Christ.
mom actually got really upset. She was like, only I can beat my kid like that.
I feel like there's like a piece of a bigger issue going on.
Yeah, I'm just trauma dumping right now.
My God.
But yeah, that's pretty much good for the controlling moms episode, guys.
Yeah. Before we end, because I know we asked them, we brought it around for like the whooping part. Were there any interesting takes that haven't been stated about like the base of like, does controlling moms make men soft, or has everything kind of been stated? And do you guys have any unique opinions that haven't been said, or are you kind of good?
We don't know, bro.
That's an interesting question.
You don't know.
No. I'm talking shit. I mean, no, I wouldn't say that it'll make like a controlling mom would make a kid weak. I feel like over controlling parents make kids weak in general. Whether it's the mom or the pops,
Right, yeah.
like you know, you want to lay up on your kids something, let them learn, step out into the world and learn for themselves. You know what I'm saying?
I think a
agree.
controlling dad, on the other hand, is more likely to be like, oh man, I need him to play football. Like a controlling dad will make you like emotionally weak.
Yeah.
No,
But
yeah,
you
no.
might be
My mom could
physically
do
in a
that
good
too.
spot.
Yeah.
Your mom could be like, oh, my bad, go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro.
Well, I'm just saying, like, your mom could also try to push you into sports. Like, it was like that for my mom. She wasn't like that for me, but she was like that for my brothers. Like, y'all need to play basketball,
True.
this and that, get a scholarship to pay for school and all that. So,
Yeah.
you can still have a controlling mom.
Right.
Yeah, I can do that. I just when like I said, a lot of this is just going off of like what my experience and perspective has been. But I feel like a controlling dad would be more beneficial because a controlling dad usually is just like an authoritarian in the sense of like he's gonna have like probably be more rigid and structured, but it's gonna be like rigid and structured and pushing you in the way to have more discipline with things.
Yeah.
I think moms would come from a more of a protection where it's like I want to shield you a little bit more from the world,
Right.
which I don't think is always going to be necessarily good, especially when it comes to raising a boy, because like part of the male experience is going to like having a fallback of experiences in your life to be able to make you suited to like answer a lot of life's uncertainties. And if like you've been shielded from life a lot, you're gonna get pushed into the world without a lot of answers.
I think a man knows what it's like to be a man. Therefore, they'll be able to raise their kid. Even if they make a bunch of mistakes, they'll be putting their kids in a direction where they become a man.
Yeah.
A woman, they can raise a man, but they don't know what it's like to be a man. So
Exactly.
they're sort of just guessing.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 100%.
Yeah. Anyone else got anything? All right, well, let's close it out. So you guys can follow us on social media at The Cold Podcast. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X as they now call it, Facebook, everywhere else. Then you can find our audio and video podcast on all audio and video platforms. That's Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Patreon, $5 a month gets you access to our entire catalog of My Black Friends podcast and any other exclusive content that we create. That includes our monthly live streams. I don't know. We haven't really decided how often we're going to do live streams, but we're doing live streams now for My Black Friends podcast, and hopefully there will be more exclusive content in the year 2024. Thanks for popping in, guys, and we got to pop out of here.
All right. Peace.